Welcome to e-guide here in Japan. More about online, a couple of features, questions, and also speakers tonight. In tonight's episode, so if you'd like to know more about the United States, this is. I'll repeat the question one more time. Social social USA Advisor. Hello, Bafina. How are you? Another.
Hey everyone. Digital, so we featured about studying in the. I would also like to say this session also on Facebook. We have a so find guys website there, and it is really we've been doing like what I had just talking about keep Santika to answer some of give you PR. So I'm going to share screen. What is Education USA? We are a network in more than we are is we provide about studying in the masters dan S3. Indonesia, of course, America. In fact, a total of 10 advisors. David and Iqbal, with myself, Surabaya with Amber, there with Jeffrey. We also have one in Makassar, and last but not least, we have with Lilith, where yield options is very basic. So what we're going to have talk about tonight, we can definitely cover the whole steps if you want. If you have some questions about research your options, so probably you're still thinking if you should study in the US or not, we can definitely discuss about that. And then we can also talk about step 2, which is financial studies, because that's definitely equally important. Because there are definitely a lot of funding options out there, especially for those of you who want to do PhD. Good news for you guys. We can definitely talk about that. There are a lot of funding options provided by the department. And then we can move on, of course, to step 3, which is completing your application. There are a lot of things going on in step 3. We can definitely take a look at your essay. We can take a look at your resume. And if you've been here with us for quite some times now, since we're going digital, or even back when we were still in America, we can definitely, talk, this is part of our monthly events, right? So, and then there are many more, right? So we had, a number of full prep sessions on TOEFL and GRE, for example. So there are a lot of things going on with step 3, one-on-one, or even like when we're doing events like this. And then once you submit everything to the US universities, you're going to wait from the universities, of course. And then once you get accepted, the next step that you're going to do is applying for the student visa. So we actually help you on that as well. So we are guiding you every step of the way in the US student visa application process. And last but not least, we have the last step, which is prepare for your departure. This is when we are invite as many students as possible who already get accepted and they're about to depart to the US. And we're going to give you a lot of information about, for example, like how to maintain the student visa, how to open a bank account, what is the classroom style look like in the US, and many more. So as you can see here, what we do with Education USA, we are doing a lot of things, and our goal is very simple, because we want you to study in the US. And so meet with us. So again, my name is Fina, and Santika, I'll introduce you guys to her very shortly. So we are now fully digital. So in terms of the programming, we are now, again, like we're going digital. So thank you so much, guys, who are watching this, and the advising as well. So we are on Zoom. We can definitely do one-on-one advising session in Zoom. And here is the ID, 276-124-396. There is no password. The advising system that we have is a first come, first serve, meaning that technically you don't have to make an appointment. Hey, Pina, can I, meet with you on Friday at 7? Well, technically, as long as the room is open, the Zoom room is open, we can definitely have a chat. But if there's an advising session going on, I will give you, and you are coming in at the same time, I'm going to leave you a quick message saying that, hey, would you mind waiting? Because I'm currently in the session, right? And also another good news is that not only we are fully digital now and we are available on Zoom, but we are actually also available every day, 7 days a week. So we start from 1 until 9 p.m. So you can definitely just reach us out here in via Zoom. Of course, obviously, except for tonight. So, for example, like if you're going to the Zoom room, the advising Zoom room, there won't be anybody there because Santika and I were currently having the session with you guys. Or if you don't feel like you just want to go ahead and talk to us via Zoom, you can definitely email us first. And you can definitely reach us out at our email center, jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org. And my next lesson is about the upcoming event. So I want to give you a glimpse of what we are going to have this month. So tomorrow we're going to have a session about what students should know and prepare for. It's going to be at 11 in the morning. And next week, if you want to study master's degree or PhD, or maybe you want to go ahead with PhD and you want to know more about this, next week we're going to have a session on everything you need to know before applying for a master's degree or PhD in the United States. So anything that you would like to know, hopefully will be presented in this event. And then the day after, we're going to have another AMA series, not with Santika or myself, but with 4 incoming students who already get accepted to US universities, specifically on the MBA program. So we have one from Cornell, we have one from Harvard, MIT, and Yale. So we're going to hear from them their, application journey, right? And the following week, we're going to have another AMA series. This one specifically from our fellow Indonesian from the eastern part of Indonesia. So they also already have an LOA, and so we're going to hear from them their U.S. university application journey. So if you would like to know our upcoming events, definitely go to the official EducationUSA website, educationusa.state.gov, or you can definitely visit edamerica.or.id/EducationUSA, and you will directly go to the EducationUSA webpage. All right. So I'm very excited. I'm going to say hi to my colleague, Santika. Hi, Santika.
Hi, Fina. How are you? I'm good. Thank you.
I'm doing great as well. Are you excited?
I'm very excited today. So apparently, because I realized, this event was meant to be 7 p.m. before we changed the time to be 30 minutes earlier, which is now. We kind of still waiting for people to pop in because we still have 20 for now. So, but we already have one question in the chat box in Zoom, so we are very excited. All right. So thank you, Fina, for the introduction. And hi, everyone. My name is Santika. I'm one of the EducationUSA Advisers. So I am with Fina in EducationUSA at America. And like Fina mentioned, we are all now digital. And that means the plus is a lot of people who are not in Jakarta, who is not even in Indonesia, can also watch our session. And all of this, session going on in Zoom is live streamed to other platforms as well. So if you have preference, you can watch in YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Periscope, and there's one other platform that I don't have on top of my mind right now because I am thinking of other things. So
there are too many social media platforms, right?
Yeah, we have so many social media, and if you have questions like I want to watch it in YouTube, like can we have the link? Simply you can drop it in the chat box if you're in Zoom right now. And for those of you who are watching in social media and you're wondering how are we going to ask questions because you're not in Zoom, you can simply type it in the comment box and then send it there. Our team will pass it to us and we will be able to know what is your question. And we will talk about a lot of things today, but all of them have to relate with your journey to go to US to study. S1, S2, atau S3. So today we will talk about maybe standardized test, how to kind of start and everything. And if you see Fina's introduction just now, you will kind of have a question pop up in your mind like, what if I never, talk with Fina or Santika before? Like, how do I start, the first Zoom advising session. Like, Tina, do you have any say on this? Like, how the students should prepare for their first session? Because I think the hardest part is to start. So let's say if I'm a student and I just popped in here and I'm like, okay, I want to ask questions, but is there any fee? How much should I pay? And what should I provide you with the first session?
Yeah, no, or a lot of people actually, wondered, if I want to see one of you guys, what should we have? What should we prepare?
Mm-hmm.
The answer to that is whichever you find comfortable, whichever you find that you are ready to share with us. I mean, even if you don't have anything like, some people have, like, for example, an Excel sheet where they have all their, study plan ready, and you don't have that yet. Don't worry. Or maybe you still don't know, for example, like which universities that you want to go to. That's totally fine. Even if you just kind of want to know more about studying in the US, that's okay too. So we definitely invite variety of people on a very different level. So we have some people, for example, who already know what major that they want to do. Probably they already know what scholarship they're gonna apply. And maybe there are also some people who don't know any of those, and that's the reasons why they reach out to us, because they want to know more about it. So that's basically what we are here for, right?
Exactly. So I would say you have to start at some point, and if you are looking for something that is not biased and free, and you're going to US for sure, then Education USA is totally the answer for you. So Fina and I are, we are used to meet different people every day and strangers every day who came to us asking about how to study to US, so you don't have to worry being awkward or shy. We'll do our best to get to know you. So for the first session, you don't have to kind of prepare anything. Just come with the questions you have on top of your mind and what kind of difficulties that you have been, thinking about if you want to go to US to study. I have so many advisee coming in with the question, but Santika, I want to go to US to study, but I'm looking for a full funded scholarship. And I don't know, like, which one? So what I will tell them is, okay, so the main one is LPDP and Fulbright.
Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and, explain all sort of differences and similarities between them. And they're like, oh, okay. So that's how you start, right? You have to start at some point. And now that we are.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to share a little bit about, like, since we're going digital, for example, your experience, like, with new advisees, for example, if you want to share with us?
Yeah, so I had just like yesterday, I guess, because when we are working from home, the time is just like, oh wow, it's Friday. Yeah. So a few days ago, I had advisee who is based in Nigeria, and I was shocked myself. And that's very interesting because he just needs opinion, because he is already accepted in a university in United States, and he have this, I don't know, he just want to share his story and someone to listen to and ask questions like, what do you think of this? So he's accepted, and he wonder what I think if he's going to take it full online from his home country, which is from Nigeria, and the university is in United States, right? So what I tell him is you have to consider a few things like time difference, and maybe if you are working and you are taking full online courses, how that will affect your daily life and everything. So sometimes advisee came to us not because they need guidance, but they just need like your opinion, or, hey, look, I don't want to feel alone in building my applications. Just FYI, like, what do you think of this? Yeah, so things like that. It's quite fun here. And
Yeah, no, it's pretty similar. Like I have a number of people would come into Zoom, which by the way, if you're wondering, because well, technically Santika and I, we are based. I mean, we're an EducationUSA advisor, but when you're going to the Zoom ID to the advising room, it's actually only one of us. So Santika's schedule is every day from 1 until 5, and then I will do the rest. So I will start from 5 until 9. So this is why Santika has her own advisee. I also have my own advisee. And sometimes we kind of like share, stories about, hey, I just, finished, having a Zoom call with this person. So yeah, no, it's really interesting. I also have a number of people who would come in to Zoom and they already get an LOA. Sometimes it's surprising because I haven't heard the news yet, but then they kind of like, so apparently I already have an LOA, and I would be like very excited. And then they would pretty much, want to know our opinion about taking, accepting the offer for fall 2020, but then because we still don't know when the visa will open, they might, it's likely that they will have to do it online from Indonesia, or some of the universities also have an option to defer to later term. It could be spring 2021 or fall 2021. And the way I answer that, I would be asking them first, like, do you want to know my personal opinion? Because if that is the case, I ask them back, like, are you really in a hurry? There are some people, for example, who have been on a workforce for too long that for them to wait until another year is just too much, like just too long already. So for those of you who are in that situation, I said, well, just take it online, right? At least you're going to learn. You're still going to learn. It's just that you're going to miss the whole experience. But oftentimes, what I meet with was people who are not, they're okay to defer for another year. And when they said that, I will be saying, then yeah, definitely defer, because when you're studying in the US, it's not just you getting the degree from this, whatever university that you're going to, but it's so much more like, the experience. And that is definitely something that you would like to get.
Yeah, and take in mind the program that you applied for and everything. So some program will be kind of more challenging if you're taking it online. So that's what I think. And we kind of had some detailed discussion actually, because he received assistantship. That means he waive some of his tuition fee or not all, and receive stipend. So what will happen if he takes it online and those are not applicable for starting online from his home country? So yeah, when you need someone to talk to and it's about going to US to study, I think it's just okay to reach us to us, not even like when you want to apply, because when Fina mentioned that the big part of this whole EducationUSA thing is on the third step, which is like completing the application, but we don't really focus it on that part. So it's basically like whatever you need, as long as it's studying to US, we'll try our best to assist you. And I also have advisee who came in for bachelor, and he is very specific, like, I want full funded scholarship and I don't know where to start looking and everything. So we just start discussing, like, what would you say, Fina, if advisee coming in and but Fina, I want to take master, but I don't know which major or school to apply to. Do you have the list of the university that I can apply to, or major that I want to apply?
I don't. So this is part of the some of the common questions that we get from people. So first of all, if you come in and then you say, I don't know what I want to study, which I mean it's very rare that I would have someone coming in and would ask that, because that's kind of like weird, and I don't even know how to help them either, right? Because I mean, you're the one who knows what you want to study, not me, right? So usually people would come in and, so look, I want to study either MBA or data analyst. What should I do? Do I have the answer? Absolutely not, right? Because again, that's something that questions that you would definitely ask yourself, because it depends on what is it that you want to do for the next 3 to 5 years, right? We also have some people, for example, like, so they know exactly what they want to study. I know that I want to study computer science, for example, but I don't know where. Can you tell me, the best computer science program in the US? Do I have the list? I don't. But then we can help you navigate that. We can help you get those lists on how you can, play around with like Dr. Google, right? And then from there, that's going to be your homework to really find out which computer science program that is right for you. Can we do that for you? We can, but do I want to do that? Absolutely not. That's going to be your part, right? Because I mean, I can easily like tell you some of the computer science program list, but then it doesn't mean that what I'm saying to you, like, so there are 3 universities, this, and this, apply. It doesn't mean that those universities are the right one for you. You definitely need to dig even deeper and really learn about the program, compare one program to another, and stuff like that, right? So once you're pretty much like know which universities that you want to do, learn about the deadlines, learn about the requirements, and then that's where we can work together. Basically, that's going to be on step 3, completing your application.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, we talk about a bit on if, advisee coming in and, they consult to us and everything. But let's say if I want to apply for fall 2021, when is the right time for me to start preparing the whole thing to be, accepted?
Yeah, no, that's like a really good question because people aware that, okay, so I'm going to start fall 2021, which is like not until August or September of next year. So probably they're thinking, okay, I'm going to start working on my application probably like the end of this year. And you definitely do not want to do that. If you happen to have some of the universities that you want to apply and their deadlines, are still, next year, probably like in February, March, then that's going to be a different story. Although I want to say that if you just start at the end of this year, that's going to be too late. But in fact, there are actually a lot of universities that they have their deadline as early as this coming September, October, November. There are actually a lot of deadlines in December. And definitely you do not want to just start your application now. But then if this is your first time hearing this and you're just about to start, then let's do it, right? But this is something that I have been telling as many as people as possible since January of this year, that if you want to study for fall 2021, start now. It's just because that the whole application process, we all know there are, TOEFL or IELTS, and then probably for some programs, they will require you to do GRE and GMAT, the resume, the letters of recommendation, and then, the transcript. And of course, don't forget about the essay, something that a lot of us thought that it's something that we can work on it last minute on the essay, but and we don't want to do that for sure. And we have a reason on why we have a writing essay session every single month, because we want to let as many people as possible that US essay writing is very, very different. And as I've been around as an EducationUSA advisor for quite some times now, I found that particular requirement is very challenging. So we definitely want to have so much time working on it to make it so much better, instead of, like working on it very last minute, and then at the end you don't have like, a really solid essay.
Yeah, that's totally right. I mean, if you have the time to prepare better, you will also feel more secure or confident when you are, submitting your application, rather than, oh, I just have 3 months. And, when things go bad and you have excuse like, oh, I only have 3 months. But if you have like 1 year or 2 years to prepare, then you will, be more confident in what you have been working for so long, and finally sending it with full confidence. So we have a few questions already, but it's just 7 by now, and we are expecting more people to come in. But I'm gonna hit you with the first question from Zoom. This is from Elok. Her question is, I'd like to take master degree by online. And would you please tell me about the advantages and disadvantages of it, and how is the prospect? Like, is it reliable enough for the future career, or, it's a different thing than the in-person?
Is Alok here, or did you get accepted? Do we know?
No, he or she didn't share that part, but I could ask. But
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
No, this is definitely something that a lot of people who already have an LOA is letter of acceptance, for fall 2020. A lot of them would probably will have to take the class online. And is it common for international students to take online? I would say no, because then again, usually, I don't know about like other countries, but the way I look at it, people choose the US, and the reasons why the majority of people all over the world choose the US to study is not just because the university is good, but also they want to experience the whole thing by being in the US. The classroom experience, basically like all that the universities are offering. So if you ask me, it's really interesting. Because if you ask me if I like taking online classes based on my experience when I did my bachelor's degree in the US, the answer is no. But different people, have different preference. It's just because the classroom experience in the US is so rich, and then the campuses in the US are just very beautiful. You definitely want to experience that. So I think that would be definitely like the advantage of by being in the US. But then again, if you want to take it online, the way I look at it, the advantage is definitely you're going to learn a lot, right? You're going to get the knowledge and everything. Although it's online, you hopefully you will kind of like still experience the whole like classroom feeling, although it's going to be so much different than if you're being in like being present like physically.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I will say the advantages for online classes is, the flexibility. You can practically look at, like your lecture anywhere as long as you have access to the internet. But the disadvantages, of course, if the time difference alone when we are in Indonesia and we are talking about studying online from US, time difference is kind of a big deal to me, because then, the deadline will be in a different time. So you have to convert them and everything, make sure you are not missing out. And if there is any real-time lecture, then that's another challenge. Like if it's like midnight here, then you will have to follow. And how is the prospect of it? I think more and more university actually offer online degree, but you will have to check one by one on, how good is this online degree that they're offering. Is this like, let's say it's very good to be true, like 1 year, and you got a master degree, blah, blah, blah. But you have to check whether this degree is the same if you go there, let's say if you go there for the same program for 2 years. Like, how is it comparable? You can ask this kind of critical questions to the admission office, to the university admission office official email. You can find them in the university website. You can ask this kind of critical questions and they will get back to you like, oh, this is the difference is here. And this is the advantage of the online and this is the advantage of the in-person. So if if you're really confused and you're really interested in certain university, I would recommend any advisee to kind of reach out to them. And if they cannot get the answer, then I will go ahead and dig by myself and see what I can find and share that to them. And we have another interesting question, Vina, if you saw in the chat box in Zoom. It's from Zatira. She's asking about something about dentistry and LPDP and Fulbright. So if you can kind of help me read that and let us know what you think on that, if we have the answer for that actually. Because I want everyone here who is watching to kind of understand that LPDP and Fulbright are not Education USA, so they are separated. And if you want to find very very accurate and what do I call this? Up to date information on LPDP and Fulbright, you will need to go to their official website, which means for LPDP it's like lpdp.kemenku.go.id, and for Fulbright it's managed by Aminef, so it's aminef.or.id. You can go to their website and if you don't know where to start, look at the FAQ for Fulbright. And for LPDP, for the starter, I want you to know that LPDP have a list of universities that they support you to if you're applying for the regular or if you're applying for the BIT, look it up and which one you are eligible for. So for those two scholarships, I will suggest that first if you have questions on that. But dentistry is a bit different. So, Vina, do you have any?
This is Zatira Afrianti, yeah?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so this is basically asking about a residency program in Harvard. To be completely honest with you, I'm also not familiar with that. And you're correct. You're mentioning here that with Fulbright, they are clearly state that anything technical, anything practical where you would meet with patients, it's not allowed. The way I look at it with LPDP, because I don't know if they actually have that on their website, if they mention anything about that on their website, but I would say they won't allow you either. But that again, I might be wrong because again, obviously I'm not, like the representative for LPDP. So I think this is like a really great time for you to reach out to them. And I'm pretty sure they will answer that. I mean, there are a lot of my advisees who would, ask, random questions to LPDP, and they're pretty, communicative in a way. They will respond to your question. But yeah, I'm not familiar with this. If you ask me, because we're focusing more on, just like a master's degree. MS in something, MA in something, or a PhD. So something like with a degree. I'm not familiar with a residency program, if I may. So I'm really sorry about that. I would definitely also ask Harvard directly if they actually have some kind of financial aid available for this specific program, because their pricing sometimes they would say yes. They may actually not put it on their website, but then if you ask them, they may actually, we actually do. And so, no, it's definitely great if you can reach out to them and ask about it. But
yeah, I find that I think it's part of the culture in Indonesia, Vina. If you know what I mean, we hesitate to ask question like, aduh mau nanya nih tapi nanti dikiranya bodoh nggak ya nanyanya begini doang atau apapun lah itu. Like what kind of excuse you have when you want to ask someone a question and you just forget about it, which I think it's not a good idea, especially if you want to ask something like opportunities to this US universities. You never know because there are a lot of scholarships available, but they did not put that on the website. just because it's quite specific. Sometimes it's specifically for Indonesian, right? We meet one or two advisees who kind of like contact the university and ask them if they have any scholarship available because they introduce themselves being from Indonesia and everything, and turns out they have it, but it's not on the website. So that's a very big win, in my opinion. And we have another.
And let me tell you guys a story, right? I can't agree more with what you said, Santika, that this is not like part of our culture here in Indonesia, or maybe like in Asia, I don't know, where we would kind of like approach professors or something like that, right? But let me tell you a story. So stories actually, because this is something that I really push my advisors to do. But then like I tell them, no pressure. If you don't want to, or if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to do it. But if you can, I really, really highly recommend you to do. And especially like when you wanted to do PhD, for example. So I have like this one advisee just the other day emailed me saying that, hey, look, so I've been in just, like back and forth emailing with this professor for a PhD program at the Harvard Business School. And I didn't expect a lot coming out of this conversation. And then just a couple of days ago, the doctoral program of Harvard Business School reached out to her saying that, hey, so we got your contact from Professor something, and we are really interested with your research proposal, and we would like to schedule you via Zoom, right, or something like that. And then she was like in a panic mode because she didn't expect that it will go that way, And so I told her that this is really great. This is what I mean when you are actually reaching out to either faculty members. Most of the time it's faculty members, right? Especially if you want to do PhD. The way I look at the graduate studies in the US, even though all of the information are on their website, but it doesn't hurt if you also want to, start a communication with them. So.
Right. And we have a very good questions to continue with this whole conversation with, scholarship and everything. How about we talk about like the PhD? So it's a bit different from, master degree. And if we are applying for scholarship for master, it's not quite the same as what I know in PhD. In United States, they kind of have funding for PhD prospective students or PhD candidate. And especially if the PhD program is heavily about research and everything. Correct me if I'm wrong, Fina. Oh, can't hear you. Yeah. So what are the good way to find PhD scholarship opportunities? Like there are different types of scholarship for PhD. They call it like assistantship, like GA, TA, and it's the same way. Like you have to go to the university website and look for it. And if you cannot find any.
Yeah. So for those of you who are watching this and you guys are thinking about doing PhD and you're still thinking about studying for doing that in the US, really pick the US for that. Because when you want to do PhD, the majority of your program will be funded by the university. I'm not saying like every single PhD programs in the US, but that's the majority of what we are seeing. So oftentimes, and the way, and it's more like again, it's more like a personal approach, right? There are some programs that will say to you that you don't have to contact any professors in order to apply for our program, but there are some that, well, I mean, sometimes I don't even like saying that you need to contact the professor first, but that's like the common way when people want to apply for a PhD. They would contact the professor first. And then some people kind of like, can you help me finding the professor? Can I do that? I can. Do I want to do that? I don't want to do it because you're the one who's going to do the PhD, right? So that's going to be definitely your part to basically try to find out, the professors that you believe that would work wonderful, would work great with you together. So contact that professors and then see what happens next. Sometimes the professors might, I'm not really like accepting any candidate this year, or maybe, I no longer, I no longer, in that program anymore, or something like that. But sometimes, like when the professors kind of like found it really interesting, your research proposal, then they will definitely like go to you, and I would definitely like highly recommend you to apply. So this is something like what happened with my advisees, with that Harvard Business School program. So once you get accepted, oftentimes, and this is something that you can definitely ask them in details, like, can I know about like the funding situation and all of that. And if they really, really want you, they will definitely like work, help you on the funding options. Trust me, it's always like that. And usually what they're going to do is they're going to waive the whole tuition. And then at the same time, you're going to receive, sometimes they call it stipend, sometimes they call it allowance. They don't really call it like salary, but the way I look at it is almost similar to that, because you're basically doing a research for their campus, but then something that you can also gain from, right, by doing that research. So yeah, and in return, they're actually paying you. So if you want to do PhD, really consider the US for sure.
All right, cool. Thank you, Fina. So Ahmad have follow-up questions on this for the scholarship for PhD. And he specifically asked if there is any scholarship to apply to. Then you can look at LPDP and Fulbright as well, because they also support PhD. But of course, you have to be very careful there to look at how many years they support that, because PhD sometimes tends to be very long, longer than the usual master, kind of like 2 years. So if you have anything to add on top of this, Fina, please do to enlighten Ahmad maybe.
Yeah, no, all good so far.
Okay, cool. So we will move to the next question here. I believe I haven't do this one. So this is from email from Ruth. My major is theology and I have just graduated from bachelor degree in Indonesia. Is there any scholarship for me from theology if I want to continue to master degree? And what the university which provide the scholarship for Indonesian student like me? So this is very interesting because I had an advisee who I think studied theology as well before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very interesting. She came to me when she kind of like already got accepted, and she have questions because she is sponsored by the church to go to study for this whole thing. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. I just know that they can do that to someone who is devoting their time in church. So if you are watching this, Ruth, my first suggestion, if you want to take a master in the same field like theology, a good way to start is go to the university website again, check if they have any opportunity. It's quite rare to have full funded there. You can also look at LPDP or Fulbright, although it's a bit rare to have someone applying from a theology field, but it doesn't hurt to try or ask them if this field is supported or not. Again, depending on which theology focus or program you want to do, you can, if you are active in church or anything like that, or any other religious community, you can try to seek sponsorship. Who knows, right? If there are anything that they can provide you. And next one,
and this is also like an example of like people would come up to us and, I want to study theology. What are the universities that are available?
Yeah,
I don't know that, right? I mean, unfortunately, even like with EducationUSA, we don't have like a database on, okay, so if you want to study MBA, these are the universities that you want to go to. If you want to study theology, if you want to study chemical engineering. So we don't have that list, but there are tons of that information online, which we don't just like we don't just recommend you to go to only one university, but no, only to go to one website, but you definitely want to like really dig in a lot from Google, for example, in looking for this campus. But the keywords that I usually tell people to try on is just type the program and then you add US university. So for example, now you want to study theology, give it a try, Googling it, theology, US university, and then see what's come up. So usually Google will let you kind of like see on the first page universities that have program in theology, so not on a ranking base. And we are not, Santika and I, we are not a big fan of just looking at a ranking, but really looking at the specific program from each university and really learn a lot about the theology program, and then ask yourself, is this something that I want to do? So when you are doing, I call it like campus shop. So when you're kind of like looking around for a number of universities in the US, you definitely want to be very selfish in a way that you do not want to match yourself to that university just because that university is something, for example, but you want to find universities that is beneficial for you, right? So that's kind of like one of the tips that I always tell people, like when they're looking for the university.
Yeah, so a lot of people tend to look at the university name, like the big name and everything, and like, I don't think they will accept me, and they go ahead and forget about it, like don't even bother to apply, which I think is wrong, because in this case, this is you who wants to study in their university, so you are the one who should look at what they have for you. Even though when you're writing in the essay, it's a bit of like give and take, like, look, this is who I am, this is my experience, this is me, blah, blah, blah. And I want to study in this university because you have this and that. So it's a bit of like give and take. It's what I like to tell my advisee, if it makes sense to you. But when you're trying to decide which university to apply, it's a bit different. Like Fina said, you have to be quite selfish here to say, okay, I want this university. So don't think about like the acceptance rate first and everything like that. But if you are a high schooler, I would recommend you to have this strategy where you have 3 categories of universities based on their acceptance rate to apply to. So dream school, target school, and safety school, those are the 3 categories, and their acceptance rate is, I think, for dream, I think it's less than 10%. Right, Fina?
I want to say less than 30%.
Less than 30, right? And for target, it's 30 until 60. 30 until
60 to 70.
30 to 70, and then for safety school is greater than 70%. So if you apply to at least 2 of this each category, you have 6 universities to apply, and obviously higher chance to be accepted by any, or like at least one of the university that you apply to. This applies especially, this strategy is best to be applied to high schoolers who are trying to go for the undergrad, because then you kind of like don't want to waste another year to apply to another, you apply to one, and then what if like you don't get it, and then you have to wait for the next application period, and that's a bit of waste of time. So that's that. And I can move to one more question in Zoom, and after that we move to other platforms question. This one is from Sanditya in Zoom as well. I'm planning to apply for a master's degree this September, and the decision will be released by the committee in December. If I'm admitted, do I have to pay a portion of tuition fee shortly after the decision, or the fee will be paid when the class is starting?
Yeah. No, the answer is you don't need to pay a portion of tuition right away after you get accepted. However, for them, so this is what happened, right? So we are applying to US universities as an international student. And then once you get accepted, they're going to give you some time. They will give you a deadline on when you want to confirm accept the offer, right? And then if you decide that, yes, I want to accept the offer, and when you do that, the next step would be they are going to issue you a document for you to apply for the visa. So now, if you want to apply for the visa, there are two common types of student visa that people can apply. That is the F1 and J1. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are familiar with that. Probably not really sure which one to choose. But then let's say you're going to choose F1, right? And then for you to apply for an F1, they will issue you what they call I-20, right? And for them to issue you the I-20, they kind of like want to get an assurance that you are going to study in that universities and not other universities, because technically if you get accepted to 3 to 4 or whatever universities that you get accepted to, you can ask as many I-20 as possible from the universities. But when you do the interview, the visa interview, you need to only like do one I-20. And so the universities, for them to kind of like have an assurance that you are going to pick their universities, they will ask you for some kind of like a down payment. And then they will issue you the I-20. So now the down payment can be varied from one university to another. I can't even like tell you the average because it's just so different from one campus from one program to another. I mean, I had an advisee who would need to pay like $1,000 or even like $5,000. We have someone who would pay nothing for the university to issue you an I-20. So then, yeah, you would kind of like want to expect there will be some kind of like, they will ask you some kind of payment in advance, but then that payment will definitely go towards your tuition. But then they're not asking for a partial of your tuition fee. That is something usually, I forgot, Santika, if you still remember back when we were doing bachelor's degree, I think a month before the program starts would be the deadline for the tuition fee.
Yeah, I think I even experienced when I was studying there. It's like, so next week we are starting and we can even pay it like this week. So it really differs from university to university on their deadline on the payment. They can even kind of like split payment or things like that. I've seen it on some university website on their cost of attendance. So if, cost is something that you are concerned with right now and you're wondering like, how much does it cost me if I self-fund and everything? A quick tip for you on how to find like how much on average it will cost for university or program. Go to Google and type in the university name. And then maybe if you're, planning for let's say MBA or MPP or any program, pop in there after the university name. And then in the next sentence, you write cost of attendance or COA, and then hit enter, and you will be directed to their average cost per year. And sometimes if you're lucky, the university will also tell you on how they break down the payment, like you can divide it to how many times. And in US, I think there are like semester and term system. So if it's term, you can have 4 times payment like per term. So you only pay after you register for your classes usually. So once you register for the classes, they will give you some time to pay until the deadline that they give. And for semester as well. So that's that. And for what else? For the payment, I think you will have to very detail ask the university on deposit. It really varies. Like Vina said, I even have advisees who have to pay 300 up to 500, but it's just really varied from school to school. And you may want to ask like other costs that maybe you have concern with, maybe like the insurance or anything that's inclusive of what you have to pay for your tuition. What else am I going to add on top of the tuition? I think I have something to say about that, but okay, decision fee will be paid after class started, right? So yeah, it really depends on the system as well. So go ahead and check that out. You definitely don't pay the whole tuition fee right away. Like let's say the cost of attendance per year is $100,000, and then you have to pay that once you start in the fall 2020. So that's not how it goes. And I was about to mention the, what do I call this, Fina, bank statement? Financial something document before you go.
Yeah, I mean, some universities kind of call it affidavit,
Yeah,
or something like that.
so it's basically you have to provide a proof. If you're self-funding, you have to provide a proof that you have this amount of money in your bank account, that you are able to attend this university in that university. So the only thing that you maybe want to have for the whole year of cost is in the bank statement. And after you have that bank statement, then it's kind of up to you, right? That's what I always say. All right. I hope that really helps you for that. And I'm going to move to questions from YouTube. Oh, sorry, Instagram. From Budiartia Agung, how to get scholarship to Johns Hopkins University. If you join us late, we actually talk so much about scholarship. You can always rewatch our session in YouTube. Go to youtube.com/@America, AT America with double A at the back. You can rewatch this. And go ahead and, dig deeper on what we talk about scholarship. But I have to tell you that there is no, there's no certain like fixed formula on getting scholarship, getting LOA. We don't have that. And there is even like students who we think very, very good, very, very prospective. But when he or she applied to certain school, they don't get the LOA. But they got other LOA, which we think, wow, it's surprising. So really, it's just like you have to do your best in terms of everything, like your application, your documents, your preparation, your standardized test, and give it a try and see where it brings you. But also, if you're really sure, to pursue, like let's say you want to get the semester, but you always know you need funding from LPDP, or Fulbright. Then don't just give up when you just applied for one time and then you don't get it right away, because we have so many advisees that we invite for our Indonesian students' success stories, right, Fina? So they share, they took this IELTS test twice, TOEFL test twice, applied for LPDP twice. We even hear there are some people who applied for Fulbright for more than 10 times every year, and they finally get it. Like, wow. So yeah, don't really fixate on the results before you start the progress, because then there's no something that's guaranteed for you, especially something so competitive, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
And from Black Banana in Instagram, how another scholarship questions again. For art major, you need to specifically, again, go to the art schools and see if there are any opportunities. Mind you that for art, what really matters, I think it's your portfolio, and really depends on which art you are doing. Okay, next question is also about Fulbright. It's from Hannah in Zoom. I'm planning to pursue master degree through Fulbright. However, I already calculate that there will be a shortfall in terms of study costs. All right, Fina, this is about co-funding. You want to share?
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm pretty sure I think you know more than I do.
Yeah.
But with Fulbright, they have a capped funding, and I believe they put it on the website, right, Santika? And it's about $35,000 US, if I'm not mistaken, for the master's degree. Is it something different with PhD? Do you know?
PhD, I think 40. Am I right? Yeah, I think it's it's about around that. I think it was just a bit different from the master, but still there is a limit of like how many years they give to the PhD students.
Yes, but you can definitely check on that on their website. But Yeah, so with Fulbright, for example, how it works with Fulbright, right? So you basically try to get the Fulbright first. So we see sometimes people, oh yeah, no, I'm just gonna apply Fulbright, and just make it as if like it's really easy to get it. I'm telling you guys, getting the Fulbright is really, really hard. It's one of or maybe the most prestigious scholarship program provided by the U.S. government. And they don't actually, I don't think they send that many Indonesians. I think about like 100 or something. Yeah, I know for some people that's like sounds a lot, but we're talking about like the whole Indonesia, and they always send like 100. So if you ever get accepted the Fulbright itself, not like just the university, it's already like you're already pretty much like so good, because it's very, very competitive. So normally you will apply for the Fulbright first, and once you get it, then they will pretty much like help you with the universities that pretty much they're going to try to match the funding that they have. However, we also see a lot of people who would use Fulbright and still be able to go to universities with a higher tuition, more than what Fulbright can cover. So what happened with those people? So many things happen, right? There are some who would pay the remainder of the fee on their own pocket, on their own money. There are some who would actually receive. Oftentimes, it will be this will be the case where the university might cover the rest, or the university has a scholarship, and then they are going to apply that with Fulbright, and then basically it's called funding. So that's like what Fulbright usually the whole process looks like.
Yeah. So if you remember, we invited some Fulbrighter, and he received funding in a very, I think, highly selective university, which costs a lot. And once he said, once you got Fulbright, you don't have to worry about, I mean, if they support you to go to that university, it's a yes from them after you got Fulbright, and then University A, and it's a go from them, then you don't really have to worry about the funding, because they will, connect with the university and try their best to, make it done. Like you receive other scholarship and everything just to attend that university with that program. So funding is possible, but it's really, really depending case by case and your profile. So they told me that there's this one student who have really great profile, and the university offered to give the funding, like, oh, okay, so this is the remainder, and we'll just do this and that scholarship just to make that student attend the university. It's that great.
And it actually happens a lot when the university when the university is willing to pay the rest, because that's how prestigious being a Fulbrighter is. So even to the universities, for them, like, oh my God, you have, a Fulbrighter. So yes, please send it to our campus or something like that. Yeah.
That's totally one of the perks of if you are going for Fulbright. Yeah, I would totally say it's not about like how much they fund you, but more like the title of being a Fulbright and Fulbright alumni. It kind of like for your whole lifetime. We even have one EducationUSA advisor who was a Fulbright alumni, and we kind of like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So another thing, I think we have one last question here, but let me check. So this one is I think this is a very good question, Vina, from Instagram. How many times in a year we can apply to university? I'm assuming, because there's no detail here. Let's do for university and for the scholarship, and which month. So, okay, which month? So I'm assuming this is for university.
Yeah. So how many times in a year you can apply? One. So for example, if you apply for like now with the upcoming deadlines for fall 2021, and then let's say you don't get accepted for fall 2021, then you will have to wait for fall 2022. and which month. So the most common academic calendar or academic term in the US is fall. So fall starts August or September. But then again, you definitely want to pay attention to the deadline as well, because nowadays, and I'm hoping people who are watching this want to start their study for fall 2021, you definitely want to start like now, because then again, there are so many, preparation to do, especially if they require you to do GRE or GMAT, depending on the program that you're going to do. But yeah.
Right. That's totally understandable. I mean, I've seen university with not only open for the fall 2021, or not only for the fall intake, but they maybe have spring or winter intake. But in that case, like, if it's like rolling or like 4 times intake a year, then you can go ahead and ask them, like, can you apply twice a year or anything like that? But assuming it's only fall intake, then it means once a year thing.
Yeah, and you actually brought up like a good thing about like rolling admission. So there are a different type of deadlines. So there are the regular deadlines. So for example, if you see some of the universities are saying, for fall 2021 deadline is November 15th. That is a regular deadline. It means that they are not going to review your application until November 15th. So they're going to pull every, applications, even though you're sending in like in August, they're not going to look it up until after November 15th. But then there are, another type of deadlines that we call a rolling admission deadline. It means that they don't have like a specific deadline. It means that they open all year long. And the advantage on that is, so for example, like you want to study for like fall 2021, for example, and you can actually submit it like last February of this year, for example, and then they will review it right away. So the advantage of like rolling admission is because they're going to review your application right away. That means they're going to get back to you really quickly as well. Whereas with the regular deadline, you will basically, have to wait for a couple of months, usually like a minimum of like 1 month all the way to like 3 months, because they pull everything in and then they're going to review every applicant. So
yeah, so kind of, research on the types of deadline for what you want to apply for. We like to tell the advisee to kind of like make a spreadsheets of university requirements, deadline, and everything, just to make sure that you take them off of the checklist and make your own timeline. With Education USA, we have so many graduate applicants that most of them are, working professionally. So that means they are juggling between their full-time job and maybe their family and, this whole application. So I think it's very nice if you can kind of like really make your own timeline instead of what we give to you, because then we don't live your daily life. We don't know your activities, how crowded your time is. That's that for me. And I think we still have, look at how time flies, Vina. We only have 15 minutes left.
I know, yeah.
So while we're at it, should we talk about standardized tests? But before that, real quick, by now I think a lot of people will have a question like, so which one should I go for first, scholarship or the LOA? Which one will you recommend, real quick?
This is a really good question. This is basically the questions that a lot of people asked many times, right? LOA first or scholarship first? There are some people who believe that, or they prefer to just like work on the LOA first, because they believe that, money is, we can find it later on, and with all due respect, do that, right? But oftentimes when that happens, you work so hard, you get accepted, and then now you're thinking about like the funding, and then you'll be like, oh, like no scholarship, it's not currently open for application, and at the end of the day, they couldn't find any funding available. They contacted the university. They start really hard to find some other, like outside sources for the scholarship. And then, yes, probably there are some who would be able to give you small chunk of it, but then knowing that studying in the US, especially for a master's degree, well, I mean, like studying in the US in general, like bachelor's, master's degree, it's costly. That I actually see a lot of people like, please help me. Like, so this is the tuition. I found some partial scholarship from the universities and some other resources of this much, but then I still need this much, and I don't know where to get it.
Right.
And then we don't know either, right? So
Exactly.
if you ask me personally, would I get the LOA first or scholarship first? I would definitely try to get the scholarship first. However, when we're talking about LPDP, for example, it's kind of a different because there's like this one type of LPDP applicant where if you get an LOA from, I think they have like this top 15 or 20 or something. If you get an LOA from those universities, I mean, it's not like it's a guarantee that you will get an LPDP, but your chance of getting it would be really high because then you will be skipped on some of the application of the scholarship process, and then you kind of like directly go to the interview. But yeah, no, if you ask me if I would definitely like try to get the scholarship first. And the good news, like with Fulbright, for example, that's basically what you're going to do, right? Like you're going to, work really hard to get the Fulbright first, and then you work on your way through in getting the LOA.
Yeah,
it's just because like getting the scholarship is very, 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 very it's highly competitive compared to there are thousands of universities in the US that you can choose from. If you don't get accepted to one university, you can move on and try other universities, so
yeah, that's the thing with so I just got this question recently from an advisee who came in for the first time. She is confused, like, what should I do now? Because I was so ready to apply for LPDP and it's currently closed. Like, what should I do? Like, should I get the LOA first or should I still wait for LPDP or prepare for LPDP? So what I tell her is, even if you got the LOA and you afterwards you plan to, apply for the LPDP, you can use that pathway, the one with the LOA, but it's not a guarantee, right? And taking the timeline into consideration with this kind of situation, you don't know when they will be open, right? And what if you are accepted and then there is no deferral for your program, and that's it? Like you are accepted and then poof, right? So what I always tell her is prepare the LPDP and then other scholarship if you want to look for another one. And then just wait until it's open and then apply for it. There's
so since the majority of our advisees who come to EducationUSA America is mostly master's degree applicant, and then the majority of you guys are aiming for LPDP. So in this case, like if before I said that, I would definitely work on the scholarship first and then, work your way through and getting the LOA. In this specific case with LPDP, I would definitely like suggest just follow whichever, like the deadline and like whatever the closest of deadlines that you have. So for example, the first deadline that's coming up is the university's deadline. So then apply for the universities. So, or like if the upcoming deadlines is the LPDP, then work on your LPDP application. So just follow the timeline because the deadline for LPDP and the deadline for like the US universities, they don't match. So yeah, I would say just follow whatever deadlines that is the closest.
Yeah. And yeah, don't forget that when you plan to which one to apply first and everything, time flies. You better use the time to prepare very well on the documents that you need to submit. So I think that's that on all scholarship and university application. But I really want to touch a bit for a standardized test because I think it's very important and a lot of people kind of like sometimes forget about it takes time to study. So like TOEFL or IELTS, GRE or GMAT, what would you suggest, like how much time they need to spend on that?
Yeah, this is also another like great question that a lot of people ask us. Like how long should I prepare for this? We don't really have the answer for that for sure because it really varied from one person to another because there are some people who would have like a really, so for example, when we're talking about GRE or GMAT, we have some people who are really, really good in math that it will probably like take, would be like a month to just kind of like get themselves familiar with the test, compared to people who probably already forget a lot about like some of the math questions. So then it can take, like 3 months or even like 6 months. I would even feel like some people who would take like about a year. So they do like TOEFL, like the English standardized test together with the GRE and GMAT as well. And then we also get a lot of questions like, should I kind of, what kind of preparation should I need to do? And that's also something that we don't really have to answer because it really depends on what type of a learner are you. We have some people who would be able to do the whole task just by studying by the book alone, but very intensive. So then we're talking about time management, right? But then there are also people who really need someone else, like a teacher, like a real human being, like teaching them like in a classroom setting. So in that case, really ask yourself, what kind of a learner are you?
Yeah, and in this part, I think it's really important why you said you need like 1 or 2 years, 1 up to 2 years preparation time, because it takes so much time for you to explore on which one is best for you. Like if you try TOEFL and then you don't know if IELTS is easier for you, then you need to take another time to try IELTS and then explore on how to study best to get the score that you want. And it takes time, right? But if we are talking about when should you take the test for the application that's coming up and everything, I would say a few months before you have to take it, at least if it's like your first time, because you never know if that's your what do I call this, like your ideal or the best score that you can get, especially if you take this test for the first time. So if after the test you feel like, I think I can do better and I want to retake, then you still have time because it's still a few months. And keep in mind, you need some time to send the result as well. So you cannot like, okay, the deadline is end of this month, so I'm going to take it a week before that. No, because you have to send the result for the TOEFL, IELTS, GRE, and GMAT. So make sure you know the timeline that you have to follow for that. And
it's really nice that you brought that up because I actually had some advisors in the past where they said that, you know what, I'm going to work on my GRE really hard, and I'm going to take the test like very close to the deadline, assuming that they will get the scores that they want. When they get the score, it's no, and then now they're in a panic mode because, oh my God, I have to retake the test because I'm pretty sure with this course, the university won't, really even like look at it or something like that. But also you also definitely want to remember that when it comes to like US study, it's not always about like just scores and academic performance and all that, but it's holistic, right? So we see some people who would, I get an advisee who got like on the GRE quant full score, 170, and he still didn't get it, right? What's up, So that's kind of like show that it's not a guarantee, but it's like the overall of your application. So this is, people might find it really funny when I say that you definitely want to work on your application like 2 years before, but this is what I mean, right? Because I'm telling you guys, it is like to apply to the US, it's actually not easy, but I guarantee you it will be paid off if you really want to work hard and use our service. This is basically what we are here for. I know it sounds too good to be true, and it's mind blowing, just the fact that there are a lot of people don't know about us, and I really wish a lot of people know about us, because really, like, our goal is to get you to the US, you know. So we'll try our best to actually help you with your application process. So whoever, you know, like, thank you so much, guys, for watching the session. And if you haven't, you know, like, start, you know, having an advising session with us, let's plan something out.
Exactly. So yeah, another thing that I want to mention to you guys, because Fina already mentioned this, you know, whole US application thing is about holistic. So your essay is kind of like, you know, something that you can really do very good, and kind of like customize it very nicely and show that. Fina, you read a lot of essay, and you know, you have so many advisees to tweak their essays, give them input, and to make them, you know, more competitive in their application. I know we don't have enough time to talk about essay, but just FYI, we just did the essay session, so you can go ahead and watch that and write your draft. If you're ready to apply, send it to Fina or me, then we will be happy to give you an input. Right, Fina?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, so that's kind of a wrap, but on standardized tests, what I want to add is we have TOEFL and GRE prep course before. It's intensive, it's 12 session, and we have the video recording. If you have interest in that and learning from the video recording, kindly email us or me. I will provide my email in the chat box in Zoom, but I'll also read it out here as salim@educationusa.org, double S in front, and email me. Just say, you know, you need the recording for GRE or TOEFL, and I'll kindly give it to you for you to learn. And I think that's a wrap. And don't forget to watch our next session. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Fina, for doing this AMA. It's quite fun to have random questions. Right? All right. Thank you so much, everyone, and I'll give it back to Anton.
Okay, thank you very much, Fina and also Santika, for the wonderful session tonight. And now that we've had questions and you've answered them, I bet that we now know more about education in the United States. And now, earlier in the event, I asked you guys an icebreaker question. And that question is, do the United States and Indonesia have any higher education partnership? And the correct answer is yes. In June 2010, both US President Barack Obama and Indonesian President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono announced a higher education partnership. And congratulations to @Ashley Schmidt from Instagram for getting the answer right. And now you might be wondering, how can you develop an awesome idea for a place like this? Well, wonder no more. You can come straight to our website at www.atamerica.or.id, and then you can click create an event, and then you can click collaborate with us and submit your proposal there. All proposals coming to us will be reviewed, and your event might just end up here very soon. And while you're on our website, don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter so you can get information about our upcoming events sent straight to your inbox. And it has been an amazing night, folks. And this is the end of tonight's episode. And we would like to thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And we hope to see you guys again at the next Ad America TV event. Goodbye, everybody.